Hello, and thanks again for joining me this week as we officially begin the spring season. Over the last week, there's been a lot of discussion and media attention to the $6.8 billion operating budget I proposed last week. This budget is about choosing to maintain services and the social safety net that we created during the pandemic, while also providing record funding for education, affordable housing, public safety, and combating climate change. As the federal government begins to eliminate their COVID funding, there will be far too many of our residents that will still be in need. So now is not the time to walk back any of these services that have been essential to stabilizing families and the communities they live in. In addition, in order to help our county continue to thrive, we must continue to make investments in the public safety, economic development, and affordable housing solutions, and of course, education. For the last week, much attention has been focused on the 10-cent property increase that I proposed. I'm not happy about having to have done this, but it is what I need to do. I'm proposing this increase as a result of MCPS's request for $300 million in additional funding over last year's budget. Just as a comparison, we've never had a budget request that exceeded the previous year by more than $110 million. So this is, as you can see, a bit unprecedented. I know it's a staggering number, but the vast majority of this funding is needed to recruit and retain outstanding teachers and other essential staff, as well as to address the increase in special education enrollment. We have teachers leaving the profession. We're losing the ability to compete with surrounding jurisdictions in hiring and retention, and we no longer are the most attractive jurisdiction to teach in. Our schools are suffering as a result. This increase is also needed to fund programs addressing student performance. According to the results of the 2022 Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, only 31% of MCPS students scored proficient in math and 53% scored proficient in English. We have great schools, but we cannot afford to let them decline. In real dollars adjusted for inflation, we're actually spending less per pupil than we did in the past. Our funding peaked 13 years ago, and we're now spending $3,000 less per pupil than we did in 2010. Or put another way, we're spending 20% less per pupil than we did in 2010. That is not the way we should be funding our greatest asset. Not only are we not keeping pace with ourselves, we're not keeping pace with surrounding jurisdictions. As you can see from this chart, 4 counties exceed our spending per pupil. And this next chart shows that of the 9 largest counties in the state, we have the 7th lowest property tax rate today. And even with this increase, we would be the 6th lowest, including our neighboring Howard and Prince George's counties. And our rate would still be lower than our neighbors in Fairfax. My proposal to increase our investment is about our future, our children. We owe them the best we have to offer, and the additional 10 cents that I'm asking is an important step to make Montgomery County a leader in education once again. And this money is for education only. Teachers and other educational professionals are at the core of what we need to give our students the best education possible. This budget makes us more competitive with other school systems in the region, though at the same time, it will not make us number one. We'll just be better. We get the best when we invest in the people that are working with our kids every day. On April 11th, the County Council will begin public hearings on the budget. This will also be the beginning of several weeks where they will go through my proposed budget and evaluate the investments that I've recommended that will move this county and its residents and businesses forward. I realize that the 10 cents of additional funding seems like a lot. The average home value in Montgomery County is $500,000. So a 10 cents more on the property taxes works out to about $500 in additional taxes for the year. That breaks down to $41 on your monthly mortgage. We're looking at it another way, a little over $10 a week, or less than $2 a day. I talk to MCPS Superintendent Dr. McKnight weekly about everything from school safety to hiring bus drivers. They asked for a record amount of funding to help address their challenges, which includes spending more money on the professionals who teach our kids and get them ready for their next steps. Montgomery County is not alone in dealing with the nationwide challenges that isolation and virtual learning brought on, but how we deal with it is up to us. Montgomery County's reputation as the best school system in Maryland won't survive on perception alone. It takes support, and that's what my budget proposal offers. At the end of the day, we can act to preserve and invest in strengthening our schools, or we follow the current road of disinvestment in our schools. If we do not correct our course, we could undermine our schools, which will in turn reduce property values, which will itself have a far greater impact financially on us than this tax will. Next week, I'll be in the middle of an important international trip representing Montgomery County in Taiwan for a conference on smart cities. Our focus is on bringing economic development opportunities back to the county. I'll be joined by the chairman of the Montgomery County Economic Development Center and members of the county's new business center team. There will also be some business leaders from Montgomery County joining us. The trip is a wonderful opportunity for us to let others know that Montgomery County is a great place to live and do business. Taiwanese leaders reached out to us because they've seen how much we've accomplished with our climate action plan, and now that the trip is happening, my team has been able to set up a meeting with the president of Taipei Medical University, which is the home to a top-ranked artificial intelligence program. Very convenient. I'm sure the University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing project will come up in our conversations. This trip will keep me out of the county all next week, and I won't be back in the offices until Tuesday, April 4th. That means there'll be no media briefing and no video from me next week, but we will return to normal once I'm back. Creating a greener county has been one of my goals since becoming county executive, but I know the effort to improve the environment began before that. Earlier this month, the Tree Montgomery County planted its 10,000th tree. To mark the milestone, the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection staff celebrated the tremendously successful 9 years of the program with their tree planting contractor D.A. Dunleavy at the Lake Marion Community Center in Montgomery Village. Shade trees help our environment in many ways. They're important to wildlife and the process of pollination. The trees soak up water and reduce runoff, thereby reducing the risk of flash flooding. They're also welcome on our county's many playgrounds, parking lots, and schoolyards. These beautiful trees also help us save energy in homes, offices, and schools. If you know of a place where a tree is needed, please apply today. Visit treemontgomery.org to learn more. This week, we have very little to share about COVID-19, and as they say, no news is good news. Our community level status remains low. Our rate of infections is as low as we've seen in a calendar year, and our hospitalization metrics have also come down significantly. I encourage everyone to stay up to date with their bivalent booster shots. Those are the ones that came out last September. If you haven't gotten one since then, make your appointment now. The county is still taking appointments and is handling vaccine and booster clinics weekly. Please visit montgomerycountymd.gov/COVID-19 to learn more about getting tested or making an appointment. This Saturday, our Department of Health and Human Services will partner with Montgomery County Public Schools and Montgomery Goes Purple to hold another event aimed at educating the public on the dangers of fentanyl and preventing drug overdoses. Paint Branch High School in Burtonsville will host the forum. It will consist of English and Spanish breakout sessions to help answer as many community questions as possible. Topics for the morning include starting substance use conversations, healthy boundaries, tough love, emergency response, and safety at home and at school. Before I finish up, I want to recognize the first day of Ramadan and the start of the Persian New Year this week, as well as the first day of spring. For everyone celebrating or just looking forward to warmer weather, I hope the new season brings you good health and happiness. That's a wrap up for today, and I hope you have a great week or two, and I'll be back again in 2 weeks.